Welcome to Writing of God TV. Our guest today is homeschool activist Sam Sorbo. This is a message that's critically important to all of us parents out there. Believers more and more have been pulling their children from the public schools because of the indoctrination they receive there, the moral, anti-God indoctrination, and the total lack of effective academics. There are ways to do this right, but not in the public schools. And we'll investigate with her why this is so, why they're teaching an anti-God curriculum that doesn't work for reading, writing, and arithmetic. Let's welcome Sam Sorbo, actress and activist.
Join ancient language linguist, author, educator, and biblical archaeologist, Dr. Miles Jones, as he explores the writing of God.
We are here with Sam Sorbo, who is an actress and activist, especially in the homeschool movement.
Yes.
Which is very exciting to me because I did homeschooling for many years, taught homeschoolers, taught parents of homeschoolers, as well as starting out in the public school and writing about it in the book, The Coming Crisis. So very glad to have you here. Why don't you tell us about what you're up to now?
Well, my mission now is to emancipate parents from the public schools, and by way of the parents, the children. And I see the schools today. And by the way, I don't criticize the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
The teachers are by and large wonderful, lovely people who are working in a very failed system.
And they care about children, but they're doing what they're contracted to do.
Yes.
Open the book to page 1 and start there.
Well, it's really behavior management at this point.
Yeah, it
and
is.
it's only
Very much
behavior
so.
management. So it's interesting because we don't often have this conversation, but back in the 60s, we took the Bible out of school.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they gave for taking the Bible out of school was education is not moral, it's not spiritual, it's different than that. It's just academics. And so we were cowed. The Christian community was cowed, and we were like, well, I guess they're right. We should keep our Bible to ourselves. We should keep our spirituality in church.
Mm-hmm.
And so we allowed them to remove the Bible, okay? And so they removed all moral teaching
Right.
from our schools, which, by the way, that just means that they're turning out smarter criminals at that point, right? If there's no more moral basis, then why are we doing this?
We
right?
don't want to create
What's
evil
the
geniuses.
point? Right.
Well, they use the excuse of a separation between the state
Yes.
and the church.
Which is ridiculous.
Yes, it is. There's
But in any case, now fast forward, and what they've done is they've taken the academics out and they're teaching morality.
mm-hmm.
Because it's not that they don't have a religion.
It's
It's
just
that their religion is diametrically opposed to
opposed to Christian-
Christianity.
no, very, very
And
true.
so now
They're
the
indoctrinating
Christians-
rather than educating.
Right. And now and I would argue that education should be indoctrination, but that's a story for
Yeah,
another
it's
time.
always been an aspect
But
of it. Yes.
the Christians are standing on the sidelines saying, hey, get back to the academics.
Mm-hmm.
You said it was the 3 R's. Let's just concentrate on the ABCs. And in fact, we ought to take a page from their playbook and understand that education is the indoctrination of the child, the teaching of the child proper doctrine. So they're not doing it wrong. They're doing it with the wrong doctrine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've ended up with today. And we think that it's broken.
Yes.
It's not broken.
It's got different goals.
It's got different goals.
It's not preparing them to be a productive citizen. It's preparing them to be
Or a good human.
an anti-Semite or just a LGBTQ activist, right? Or, yes. Well, an idiot is
It's
what they end up
preparing
with.
them- And I say idiot, I don't say it lightly. These are people who don't believe in absolute truth. That's idiocy.
Mm-hmm.
When you abjectly say there is no such thing as truth, that's stupidity.
Yes.
Because there is truth.
Yes.
There is gravity.
Mm-hmm.
You can deny it all day long, but if you jump off of the third story of a building, it's going to hurt.
Right.
Because gravity works whether you believe in it or not. And truth is truth whether you believe it or not.
That's true. Yes. Once you throw out the definition, you can go anywhere with it.
You can go anywhere.
Anywhere the crowd
And they've
pushes
gone
you.
everywhere.
They have. And that's the point. Someone who doesn't believe in God ends up not believing in anything.
Much less themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. So
Which
you
is
have
very
the same
sad.
thing.
And this is why we see skyrocketing self-harm, skyrocketing teenage suicide,
Depression,
depression,
extreme depression.
anxiety, all the drugs that we're seeing in the schools. It's funny, there's always a pill for that, right?
Yes,
Somebody's making money.
yes. And obviously, I've done a lot of study in the area of the drugs like Ritalin and stuff they're taking to cure children of their
Yes.
bouncy behavior,
Yes,
right? And then
their normal behavior to
Right.
cure them from being normal.
and when they get depressed because of that, then they give them antidepressants. And on that cocktail, sometimes they have psychotic breaks.
Yes.
So they give them antipsychotics. So you got these young kids taking this cocktail
With
of
no
drugs.
research
Hmm.
on long-term effects
Well, we
and
do.
promises that they can't keep, and it's a disaster. And what's really the disaster here is it's been broken for a very long time, and the proof of that is we are now a culture of trust the experts. Why? Because when we went to school, we were told to sit down and shut up and trust the teacher and do what the teacher says and believe everything that the teacher tells you. In fact, we learned don't ask because this is a barrier to entry. Don't try because failure's bad. An F is a terrible thing. Don't think, just regurgitate for the exam what the teacher taught you. And don't read. Teacher read the book.
Yes.
You don't have to read it.
Right.
And so now we are a church-going population that doesn't read the Bible
Wow.
because pastor read the Bible. He'll tell me what's in it. And I trust the expert. And don't we know we just went through a whole period of trust the experts, and how did that work out for us? Right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
this
it's
is
a mess.
this is an awakening. That's your book, is the coming crisis. The crisis is here.
Yeah, it is. It's the current crisis now.
It's yeah. And so
But you could have predicted it by what's happened. We tell the whole story
Right.
of how we got to this stage.
right.
What were the ideological influences
And these are
and
important
decisions?
points because you need to know how we got here so you can unravel
Mhm.
the Gordian knot
Right.
of your own education and set your children free. Here's the joy.
Yes. Yeah.
One generation we could turn this whole thing around.
We could. Yes.
It's because every child is new.
Mhm.
And if you decide as a parent to devote yourself to the education of your child,
Yes.
you can have the greatest love story that the world has ever written.
Absolutely. And that is really your gift. I've taught hundreds of children to read. It's such a joy, but that should be your joy as a parent. You know, it's such a bonding experience to get to work with your kids every day and teach them interesting things. It's something you will never forget, and your child will never forget.
I just read a meme on social media. God gave us daughters so that we'd have best friends for the rest of our lives.
Oh, that's a wonderful thought.
And I thought about it and I thought, but it's true. My daughter is she's like a best friend to me.
Yes, that's
Yes,
good.
we're different generations, but I ask her, how does this look? She tells me it doesn't look good. You need to change your earrings or whatever, right? We have this bond. And I was talking to somebody earlier at the conference. I said to a radio show host, and I think this kind of set him back. I know it set him back because he disagreed with me. I said, teenagers don't naturally rebel.
Mhm.
My
That's an
teenagers,
interesting thought.
right? I say things that people have to sit and think about for a minute. Teenagers don't naturally rebel. Parenting is not hard. That's a big one. People are like, wait, no, it's really hard. I'm like, stop telling yourself that. That's a lie that the culture has taught you. Parenting is not hard. Learning is not hard. Teaching is not hard. They are all super enjoyable.
Yes, they are.
It's up to you to make it what you decide it should be. And you can decide that it's hard and it can go very hard for you. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
It's a better choice to say it's easy and here's how I'm going to go about it.
And it is. I mean, teaching reading is pretty simple.
It's pretty simple.
But you've got to be working from the right playbook.
Yes.
I loved what you said about your daughter being your best friend. I homeschooled my own daughter, and still today, and we talk about books. What book are you reading?
Yes.
We talk about the
Yes.
themes of the books. We talk about movies. We talk about all the things just like when we were doing homeschooling. So you've got a a best
Well, you have
friend,
a
somebody
firm
that likes
foundation.
to
Right.
explore learning and reading
Right.
and
And just because her interests do not coincide with my interests almost at all, yes, I took the step to become interested in what she was interested in. That's my job as a parent.
Yeah.
And so I did. And you know what? I'm fascinated by what fascinates her now.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
It's that easy. But I said to this show host, teenagers don't rebel. And the reason that I say that is because they naturally don't want to rebel. Children want to adore their parents and look up to their parents. And it's a big awakening when they come to the realization, oh, daddy's not perfect.
Yeah.
Daddy made a mistake. Or, if you send your children away from you to another authority, they will naturally rebel against you because you've undermined your own authority in their eyes.
Yeah.
You've done that to yourself. But if you don't send them away from you, which I never did, I maintain the authority in my house.
Yes.
It was literally never challenged.
Yes, that's great. I mean, it's such a tragic event for parents. They may mortgage the house to finance their child's college education,
Yeah.
send them to elite school, and get somebody back that they don't even recognize.
Well, but that's because there's no foundation K through 12.
This.
What the colleges are doing to the children today has its roots in K through 12. It doesn't just automatically happen in college.
No, it
that
doesn't.
that a quote professing Christian youth goes to college and then all of a sudden is what's the word I'm looking for? It's taken out of his religion.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that. He didn't have religion to begin with. He did not have a firm understanding.
Right. You really must be trained
And
what to say if your religion is challenged, because
Right.
it will be.
Right.
At some point in life, you are going to be
I
challenged.
studied apologetics with my kids. That was part of our speech and debate program, was the apologetics. And
Right.
we had a phenomenal spoken word author who was tattooed all over. And this guy was a firm believer. He found Jesus in the back of a squad car.
Wow.
That
That's an
accidentally,
interesting story.
it's a fabulous story. They accidentally arrested him. And by arresting him, they saved his life because there was a hit out on him.
Wow.
But he didn't know it. So he was upset that he'd been arrested. He learned later after seeing Jesus in the back of the squad car. Now, what's interesting is, how did he come to Jesus? He realized in the back of the squad car that he had seen abject evil. And if evil existed, then goodness did.
Wow. That's
It was that.
like exactly my journey.
And he got out of the car, and the cop that had arrested him said, what happened to you? You're different. What happened? And he just said, well, I just met Jesus. Like, he just figured it all out. And so now he's an apologist, and he taught us our apology. He went through all the different standard arguments that you have for defense of the gospel.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It sounds like a wonderful teacher to have, one who has
Yes.
experience. I've always taught that children are going to succeed in the first minute, the first hour, the first day of school. They either are successful, get a positive attitude to what they're doing, or they don't. And the longer that goes on, the harder it is to back it up and correct it. They're going to learn how to read. We were talking about literacy.
Right.
They're going to learn how to do mathematics. They're going to learn their behavioral or God-centered things, respecting your heavenly Father, your heavenly parents, your teacher, your culture. And then they're going to be preparing themselves to be productive citizens. They're going to be actively involved in it because they're successful. They're not successful, they turn in a totally different direction and become very antisocial miscreants.
They can.
And it's a real short jump from that into criminality.
The school system, the classroom system, is appropriate for maybe 10% of the population. There's maybe 10% of children that really thrive in that environment, that like the structure, like testing, like sitting down with their books and their pencils and being organized and listening to a teacher, right?
Yes.
And the rest of them are completely, almost entirely disserved by the system.
Alien. It works with the intelligent, cooperative child. I was very intelligent. I was not cooperative. So, I basically educated myself after I got through with what the education system was trying to do with me.
I was an excellent student. I couldn't take tests. And it took me a while to figure out that just wasn't my calling.
Yeah.
But I went to college and I was working on an ulcer when I finally decided I couldn't, my health was, struggling. So, but I think that it's important for parents to understand that education is not academics.
Yes.
The academics are all secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Education is character formation.
Yes,
It's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's
if you
how
have that,
to,
the rest will come.
and here's the other thing that I love to point out to parents. Parents, you are the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
You want your child to emulate you in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And your child wants to emulate you.
Yes.
Why would you put any barrier between that happening? So if that can be your focus, then what you do is you figure out what are the child's interests. And if his interest is in, I don't know, car mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
well, he probably should learn to read.
Yes, for
right?
sure.
He probably should learn math. So, but because it serves his interest, he will learn it like that, because that's
true.
interesting.
With that thought, we will be right back with Sam Sorbo in this fascinating discussion of homeschooling and why you, as a Christian parent, should consider it.
The writing of God will continue in just a moment.
I promised to tell you about our range of homeschool materials. Most of our viewers know us because of the groundbreaking books such as The Writing of God, talking about the biblical archaeology of the Sinai. This is a fabulous book for high school students and adults. Comes with the video materials and a workbook. So we also have that material for the Hebrew Gospels. Again, this is appropriate for high school students or adults. It comes with the book, The Sons of Zion, on the history of the Messianic Church, the early church, and the study of the manuscripts, all on video and in book form and workbooks. What most people don't know is that we also have a whole range of materials for student reading and mathematics from high school to grade school on down. Every level, from algebra and SAT prep, all the way down to early learning, which is usually for about children that are 2 years old or even younger, when their cerebral cortex comes online. We have the best early learning materials in the world. We can teach children to read at the age of 2. We can teach them to do their math operations at the same age. As soon as their cerebral cortex comes online, we know how to present those materials in our matrix math and threshold to reading courses. Go to writingofgod.com and there will be a link to the curriculum called jonesesgeniuses.com. You can see it online. Go there and check it out if you're considering homeschooling your children.
Now, more archaeological evidence from the real Mount Sinai.
We're back with Sam Sorbo, homeschool education activist. So I've always heard, your education is what's left over after you forget everything you learned in school.
Yes, Mark Twain. I never let my schooling get in the way of my education.
Yeah, very true. But when people get into homeschooling,
Mhm.
they know they should not be doing it within the school system, but then they don't really know what to do.
Well, I think a lot of people do K through 12. Like they just sign up for public school online, which I highly recommend against. And the reason is because it is structured in such a way as to promote your failure. So I would not go into that, because it's a failed paradigm, right?
Yes, it is. I don't know any homeschooler who uses the state curriculum. And they're here in Texas. In Texas, they're allowed to have it for free.
Right.
I don't know
Of
anyone
course.
who's ever done it. Why would you use
What's it worth if they're
failed
giving
system?
it away for free?
You're trying to get away from it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So now you have come up with a homeschool starter kit.
Yes. So, and I should say I have 3 children, 22, 19, and 18.
Wow.
And so my 18-year-old will graduate high school this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I learned a lot by trial and error, and I made some mistakes. I will say that. I schooled my children to begin with. I don't recommend schooling your children. I think that forcing your child, any child, to sit down with books for longer than, let's say, an hour a day is cruel, especially young children. Yeah. Boys should be outside hitting things with sticks. That's their job, and they should be doing that, right? And so we have to be very careful because everything that we think about education is informed by our own experience in school. And if you went to school, then you're stuck in this school paradigm.
Right.
So what I developed was the Playbook for home learning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to call it homeschooling because it's not school at home. And what it does is it walks parents through the goals and objectives of education and planning for the future with their children. What do you want for your children? Do you want your child to move away to New York City to have the penthouse apartment, the penthouse office suite? Or do you want your child to be a productive human being, a member of your family, a father with children of his own, or what have you? And so that's the planning that ought to take place.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do that, then you start to get away from the rat race mindset that's engendered in our schools. And the reason that it's engendered in our schools is because everything in school is college prep and career readiness. College prep and career readiness is just a formula for making money.
Mm-hmm.
So it values the child only for the amount of money that the child can earn. And that is not your value for your child. And it shouldn't be. So you have to step back from that. So my Playbook for home learning it's actually a series of 15 videos
Mm-hmm.
and a workbook.
Wow.
And we work through the whole thing with the parents so that at the end they can say, oh, so actually taking my son to the museum and
Yes.
looking at cars all day is education,
Yes.
right? Going on a trip to the farmer's market is education.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty is when you start educating your children yourself, it becomes a full-time job, but it's not a job, it's a joy.
Yes.
So it's a full-time joy. And you end up teaching yourself things. They end up teaching you things. They ask you questions.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one thing, parents are intimidated. They think, well, I don't know. I don't remember my own education. I don't remember my schooling. How am I supposed to do this? The best position you can be in is the position of not knowing, because then you say to your child, I don't know. Let's go find out together.
Yes.
And then you show your child how to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the greatest gift you can give to anybody, is teaching them how to learn.
Right. That is wonderful. And with that, we have to end this segment, but it is fascinating. I'd love to talk more with you again. Maybe we can work that out.
I'd love
Thank
to.
you very much for being here.
SamSorbo.com.
All right. You got it. samsorbo.com. You can find the Homeschool Starters Kit, and we'll be back with you shortly. Why is the Hebrew book of Revelation so essential? Well, there's been a great journey from the Hebrew covenant to the Greek Testament. The Greeks changed a lot of the wording in the Bible, and especially the book of Revelation, which was originally written in Hebrew. So if you want to understand the covenant contract between Jehovah and his chosen people, you need to find it in the Hebrew book of Revelation. Along with that, many markers of the Hebrew Gospels are in here. I am the Aleph and the Tav. We'll show you what manuscript that comes from, as well as the names of God. Yehovah with the correct vowel pointing, Yeshua. These names have been found now thousands of times in hundreds of manuscripts, many of them done by Messianic scribes. There is so much in this manuscript. It is the entire book of Revelation translated into English with samples of where we got these things from, which manuscripts, all the markers of the Hebrew gospel that are contained in this book. A reader's version of it without all of the notes and commentary, but it's all explained to you in this really magnificent hardcover version of the Hebrew book of Revelation. Get yours now. Order it at thewritingofgod.com. That's writingofgod.com. The Hebrew Gospels. God called me to go find these manuscripts, and I did, traveling throughout the world to find them. I obtained them. We are translating them. Now we need your support to get them into the hands of the public that wants to know the truth of the Bible. Long before they are even published, we will deliver them to your email chapter by chapter as they're translated. For a small monthly fee, join the Revelation of the Month Club. Go to writingofgod.com. The people who created this altar came from Goshen. Thank you, Sam Sorbo, for your wonderful work that you're doing. If you're a believer that's contemplating taking your children out of the public school indoctrination, people like Sam Sorbo can help you set up your private schooling and your private schooling co-ops, which is the way many things are done. I myself have worked in the public schools and developed curriculum that worked beautifully there, but the schools really did not want it. It rocks the boat of what they're trying to achieve. So we went out and took it into the homeschooling arena. But it started in the public schools with Hispanic children who did not know English. And these children, first graders actually, they did not know any English. So we taught them 3 grade levels in 2 languages in 1 school year. And that's a wonderful, wonderful result that you get these children reading in 2 languages and doing all their operations in mathematics. But the schools didn't really like it. So when they went on to the next grade, they were double promoted, many of them. The teachers just failed them back to 2nd grade. So we set up a homeschool exposition. In fact, we got Mensa members to come and be on our team for the Mensa's, the High IQ Society, and they went up against the children in a competition of calculating powers and roots. The team that got the answer first and was correct got the points. This is based on the curriculum they were taught in 1st grade. Now they're going up against Mensa PhDs. The Mensa PhDs were given calculators to use. The 1st graders did not have any calculators, so they had to be quick and they had to be right. Both teams had to write down both the problem and the answer. The children beat the Mensa PhDs, who had the calculators, remember. They beat them by 14-6. This is an amazing result. You know, this is the amount of potential that we're throwing out the window with our children by not teaching them rapid mental calculation skills, rapid reading skills. People often ask me, why don't they do speed reading in the schools? Well, they can't even teach reading in the schools, so how do you expect them to do speed reading? But this is the potential we're throwing away with our children. Don't you make that mistake. Teach your children in a godly fashion, and they'll be like Daniel and his cohort, who went up against the wisest men in the kingdom of Chaldea and defeated them. We'll see you next time on The Writing of God.
Will you seek the Lord about becoming a partner to bring the message of the Writing of God to more people? Send your gift to The Writing of God, P.O. Box 294027, Kerrville, Texas 78029, or online at thewritingofgod.com. That's The Writing of God, P.O. Box 294047, Kerrville, Texas 78029, or online at thewritingofgod.com.